YouTube. It just needs about 10 seconds to ramp up here. Everything looks good. All indications are green. And it is ready. The meeting is yours, Mr. Stacy. Let me know if you need anything.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'd like to call the Commerce Township Downtown Development Authority meeting to order for December 15th, 2020. The first item of business that I would like to deal with is introducing Larry Gray, the newest DDA board member. He has been sworn in, and of course, our township supervisor. Larry, if you'd like to introduce yourself, maybe tell us a little bit about you. I'm not sure how many of the members have met you before, but this would be a great time.
Well, thank you, Mark. Good afternoon, everybody. Larry Gray. It's nice to put a face with everybody. Tell you a little bit about myself. Been a long-time township resident. Locally, I helped serve on the fire department as a paid-on-call firefighter for 26 years. Previous background is medical sales and medical management in the medical field. Fourth week on the job, learning a lot. Going to be learning a lot more, and I look forward to working with everybody. If anybody ever needs me, feel free to reach out, and I'm here to help any way I can.
Thank you, Larry. Certainly your open door policy has been nice the first 4 weeks, and we're looking forward to making the Commerce downtown a success, working with everybody. With that being said, item 1, approval of the minutes for Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of Tuesday, November 17th, 2020.
A second?
Second.
That was Jose for the second. Deb, would you do the roll call vote, please?
Yes. Lublin,
Yes.
Merkin,
Yes.
Hoy,
Yes.
Spelker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Winkler,
Yep.
Nada.
Yes.
And we do not have Jim Gotts on the line yet? I don't believe.
Correct.
No. Okay. Motion carried.
Thank you. I would like to move on to item 2, public comments. Ken, can we open up the public comment section? Do we have any public on the line that would like to make a comment?
We do have a phone caller on the line. Phone caller, if you'd like to speak, please press *9 on your keypad, and that would alert us that that you would like to speak. Again, *9 if you have a comment for the board. And again, *9 raises your hand. I see no hands raised at this time, Mr. Stacy.
Thank you. With that being said, we will close the public comment. Moving on to item 3, Insight Commercial Report. Randy Thomas, we'll let you take this over.
All right, thank you. And I'd like to extend a welcome to Mr. Gray. You'll be an important part of what happens here with the DDA project. So look forward to getting you up to speed. So I'll start here. I don't have a whole lot new. I'll just try to focus on some of the things that have happened. So everybody's seen what's going on with Barrington. Barrington is actually open. They have some residents in the ranch units right now. Their plan is to open up 1 building a month. They've got a lot of positive for Jim Galbraith. They've got a lot of positive reaction to the development. Jim's feeling really good about it. And I did verify with him, the pricing that we saw that was in the, the article. So those units are not cheap on a per square foot unit basis compared to the rest of the market over here. So interesting to see what kind of velocity he gets with occupancy. Lastly on that, everybody can see some dirt is moving right by the roundabout in front of the Barrington development. they intend on putting up that wall that we had a picture of, I think it was about 2 months ago. So that should actually go up fairly quickly. Nothing more on Barrington. Parcel B1, that's the Akins parcel. You know, not a lot has really happened relative to the tenants. Bruce is getting calls from some of the mall tenants, primarily, you know, out of 12 Oaks. A lot of the, you know, the tenants do want to get out of the malls based on what's happened. So I know he's gotten some calls. I have stayed very close to the market that's going in there. Actually, they're calling me and, you know, are looking for some updates. The only thing I know right now that Bruce has got going on, because he's kind of had the pause button hit for a little while, is he apparently does have a deal and concept with Galbraith in Shapiro for the units that are going to be integrated within his development. I do not know, and I have not seen a signed purchase agreement yet between them, but I know that there's been a fair amount of conversation. So I'm going to be meeting with Jim Galbraith when I'm out of town, and hopefully I'll have a better update as to, you know, what Bruce is planning on doing. I have asked him to join one of the meetings, and Mark, we may want to, you know, have him on the February meeting where he can update, you know, the board at large.
Sure.
Let's see, okay, phase 2 of that development. Tom will address what the DDA is going to do, but the township has already recognized a new entity, a buying entity for the project, and the purpose is to allow the developer to go ahead and secure a baseline environmental assessment known as a BEA on the property that he's already closed on. Tom can get into details, you know, with that. So, you know, this is going to be coming up in October of 2021. My guess, because what's going on, we'll probably have more conversations on the timing coming from Bruce. He hasn't said anything, but I'm anticipating that. Nothing new with the Granger developments. They've actually been pretty quiet since they called me to do a whole bunch of work for them. As soon as I know more, I'll let you guys know, but nothing has really, you know, transpired with these guys since I last reported. Parcel C, and that's the hard corner of Pontiac Trail in Haggerty. We've had, you know, generally after Thanksgiving, you get a bit of a slowdown. We have, our phones are still ringing, but we haven't had a whole lot of activity on this parcel, as well as parcel J1. That's the hard corner of Oakley in Haggerty. So there's nothing solid to report this week, or this month rather. D&E, that's the Merrill Park development. Outside of a lot of lights, I have nothing to report. Are they having some sort of contest between the two neighborhoods or between the houses?
It looks absolutely wonderful back in there. If you get a chance to drive through, go ahead and do it. And we did get a phone call from Wincliffe wanting to know if they could get some help getting some electrical, because they want to go against Merrill Park. So, yeah, I think the neighborhoods are going to start battling it for the best play.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It does look cool. That's for sure. Parcel F, that's 3.9 acres in front of the township hall. You know, I did talk to the dentist again. You know, his eyeballs are on what goes on with the 5 in Main development before he makes, you know, any type of commitment. That medical group that we did report that had some interest has gone silent on us. I'll just take them off. I don't think that they are seriously going to pursue anything. Parcel G, this is the Hunter Pasteur project. Wincliffe, nothing to report. Parcel I, that's Gilden Woods. Nothing to report. J1, as I mentioned to you, along with parcel C, just, you know, we just get this typical, you know, holiday slowdown during this time of year. Parcel J2, that's the North Point development. I think a lot of you have probably seen some changes going on over there. North Point has sold their portfolio to Public Storage. And I know that Public Storage has a whole different, you know, look and everything on there. Dave Campbell and I, you know, talked about it yesterday. Dave, do you have any comments that you want to give to the board?
I reached out to North Point to say, congratulations on your sale and who would be a good person to talk to at Public Storage. I got a name and number for who that person is. I left a message for that person, haven't heard back yet. This all happened this morning. But my conversation when I do hear back is that, the Planning Commission and the DDA both had a high expectation for what beyond self-storage was going to look like. And we just don't want Public Storage to get ahead of themselves with their rebranding and reskinning of the building. When we talked to the Planning Commission, we said we don't want it to be a over the top as far as color schemes and so forth. And I know Public Storage has their orange color scheme. So I want to talk to them about what that rebranding effort is going to look like.
They have already covered up the beyond self-storage signs, put up the orange public storage. In talking with Mr. Campbell, there's probably nothing we can do about that, but hopefully we can avoid the public storage orange wraparound of the building, because that really was a nice looking building. That's it, Randy.
And it somewhat ties into Parcel K, which is the orphan piece that we always talk about. The group, it's called RCG. They're based out of Atlanta. They're in they're both in the shopping center space and controlled climate storage space. They have several assets here in the Detroit market. This is the group we reported to last week that was going to go in front of the Planning Commission for a conceptual site plan review. That did happen last week. I think the overall from the comments from the Planning Commission were positive. I don't know, Dave, if we've got anything that we can show the DDA, if there's anything in pictures or something like that. Their design does not look like your typical storage big box. Actually, it's more creative than that. Looks somewhat like like an office building with a lot of breaks in the building. The development contemplates.
Mr. Thomas, I think Dave Campbell can share the screen with those pictures if Dave wants to jump in for a second.
Sure. So hopefully everybody can see this. This is the conceptual site plan. I hope everybody can see that.
Yes, we can.
So it's a two building proposal, two storage buildings, one building to the north, one building to the south. As you can tell, a lot of this area at the south half of the property is wetlands. And so at least for now, they're not looking to get into that wetlands or have to deal with the permitting that goes along with that. The interest in the DDA's Parcel K is primarily due to access. Their main point of access would be here, which would land on Parcel K. The other existing curb cut is over here, which lands in the slip ramp for northbound M5 to eastbound Pontiac Trail. So not an ideal spot for their only point of access, because the only people who could safely and legally get there would be the people coming off of northbound M5. So that's their interest in Parcel K. I just want to show you the general layout. This is a more zoomed in version of it. Again, the two buildings with the covered connection between the two buildings. And then the elevations, which are conceptual at this point, but what they're trying to accomplish, and I think the Planning Commission was favorable toward, is creating this look of something that resembles an office space. So this is kind of a false second story on these buildings that are most prominent from Pontiac Trail. Yes?
I think we're stuck on the aerial and you might have changed your view. We see the aerial right now. Is that what you're looking at?
No, I was hoping the renderings were going to show up. It says my screen sharing is paused, resume share. All right, let me get rid of that. Let me try it now. Are you seeing the elevations now?
There you go.
Okay, so these are the elevations that they showed the Planning Commission. As I say, conceptual at this point, but what they're trying to accomplish is a building that looks more like an office building than your traditional self-storage, which would be just row after row of garage doors, which is not what the Planning Commission or I think the DDA would want to see. So quality building materials, they're bringing in stone elements. this second floor. It's not a true second floor, but it's meant to resemble or give the appearance of a two-story building. You know, variations in the way the building projects with these stone columns and so forth. This is from the other angles. These are one of the things that caught the Planning Commission's attention was these, what we thought were overhead doors and the color of them. The Planning Commission said we might want to tone down the lime green color of those overhead doors. Those aren't actually overhead doors. All of the units within this facility would be accessed from the inside. So you go in a main door and then you'd walk through a corridor to get to your unit, as opposed to getting to your unit directly from the exterior. So what the Planning Commission told the developers was we might want to tone down the lime green color. It might be okay for the awnings, but to do it on for an architectural feature along this side of the building might be overdoing such a strong color. So they took that under advisement. So procedurally, where they want to be is they want to get back in front of the Planning Commission for site plan approval, and they would also need special land use approval, because the only way this project could be allowed is as a special land use within the Haggerty Road overlay, the Haggerty Road corridor overlay, which this property lands in. So they would need special land use approval, which would include a public hearing. So I think I'm going to talk to them tomorrow about what the schedule would look like. I'm guessing the February Planning Commission meeting would be the earliest that the Planning Commission could take this one up and take action on it. The other thing I wanted to see that I think is relevant to the conversation is, let me screen share again so that I can bring up this. So can everybody see this graphic with these red lines on it?
Yes, sir.
So this is meant to represent, this big rectangle is meant to represent the general footprint of where they want their buildings to be, with their parking up here. And what they're offering the township as kind of a sales element to approving a special land use for this location is they're saying we would grant an easement across our property to help get a pathway connection all the way down to the rail trail to the south. So this is the Michigan Airline Trail. This is, of course, the bridge over M5. So the idea would be that they could get their pathway at least to about that point. And then from there, the pathway would have to sweep out into the M5 right-of-way to continue it further south and hook it back up with the rail trail. So we would need some cooperation from the Michigan Department of Transportation and from the Federal Highway Administration to be able to do that. But if all the pieces could fall together, then this has the potential to be a real nice connection from the rail trail up along the side of M5, get it up to their sites, and their parking lot could effectively serve as a trailhead until such time as Mr. Akins gets his development done, at which time we would have a traffic signal to the east at Walnut Lake Road, which is not on this picture, it's cut off, it would be over here. But there would be a pedestrian crossing at Walnut Lake Road so that the folks coming up from the rail trail could get over to Walnut Lake Road and then safely cross over to Mr. Akins' development. So that's the big picture idea in terms of the pathway part of the self-storage proposal. So I'll take a pause there and see if there's any questions from the DDA.
Remembering that the pathways connection was a key issue for the DDA to get bodies up to Aikens downtown development. When we talked with this developer, he was very interested in making it available based on two things. One, his own personal usage, he loves them. But two, the fact that he, from a community advertising standpoint, more people that walk by his building when they need self-storage will go, oh yeah, I should be over here with this developer rather than on one of the ones on Haggerty Road or what have you. So he was very interested in that. Currently, we do have an LOI sitting here. We were hoping to have a purchase agreement that is being worked on. Randy, do you want to talk about the LOI or do you want me to right now?
Well, here
give a broad outline.
Yeah, I can give you a broad outline here. So give me a quick second. So we had a target number because this piece, is really small. And before I go into that, I just wanted to mention one thing. it's important to note that this particular use is a very light, traffic generator, somewhere between 9 and 12 trips, daily trips. And if you really looked at, and when Dave brought up the access, it's a very tough access point. It's not anything that, we would see a bank or a restaurant or any type of, general retailer, finding it attractive, because we're that access point, you're right off of that slip lane. You got to get over quick, and get in, and your traffic movement in and out of the site are all right-hand turns. So that's one thing that I think from a planning perspective, that the Planning Commission, really understood that, this is not a heavy traffic generator. Now, relative to answering your question, Mark, on the LOI, we had this pegged at 150,000 just internally. We've exceeded that number. Their offer is for 225,000. They have, and I verified, they do have the property to the west that would front along M5 to the south. That is under contract as of 48 hours ago. Let's see, he's going to dovetail it's 180-day due diligence time frame, and by the time he gets done with everything, given the holidays, assuming we can get this signed sooner, he'll probably utilize most of that time. Anything else? Now, there's really nothing else. I mean, other than that we do have, they are using the DDA's form purchase agreement. He also understood that he's going to try to keep it as simple as possible. He was aware that we're having this, this meeting today. So, Mark, I think what we were looking to seek is to get a resolution from the board to proceed on and give some signing authority, because this will probably happen over the holidays. So, how do you want to handle it?
Yeah, certainly if that is the board's feeling, or we can live with direction from the board, and then we'll get a purchase agreement put together and come back in January. Whichever way the board would like to go, we could do that. Looking for direction from the board.
I don't have a problem with making a resolution to accept the LOI, as long as it's on our format.
All right.
Randy, another question is, you mentioned something to the west. Are you talking west of M5?
No, to the west of the DDA piece.
Okay. Right.
So remember,
yeah,
Dave,
ours is a little chunk. It's like like half an acre, if that.
What you're talking about.
So it's all that property going to the south and to the west of the DDA piece.
remember, Dave, all we're really selling him is a driveway. I mean, that's what.
That's why I have no problem with us following through the LOI on it.
Yep. It would have been nice if we could have combined Rock Road and redid that whole area. But I think Randy would agree that Rock Road piece is going to take a while for the ownership to decide what they're going to do that's within reasonable market numbers.
Right. Well, the piece to the east of the DDA parcel does not have access to Rock Road. So if you look, there's like a detention pond, and it was done intentionally to prevent him, from getting access onto Rock Road. And I have had, and I think I've reported to the board, have had conversations, with the owners. There's a partnership that owns the balance of, the Rock Road property that goes to the back. And then it kind of swings around to the south of where the DDA, if you go directly to the south, for a potential redevelopment. We'll continue to stay in touch with them. I think it's a use that could be moved somewhere else in the township if the owner is willing to do so. And that gives at least the Commerce Township an opportunity to look at something maybe a little nicer down that road across from 5 and Main. Let me see. I left off on.
Well, we have Dave Smith made a motion. Do we have a second for Dave Smith's motion to work on a purchase agreement based on the outline of the LOI suitable?
I'll support that. I'll second.
Second from Susan Spelker. Discussion. Any discussion? All right, Deb, would you call a roll call vote?
Yes, Smith,
Yes.
Spelker,
Aye.
Gray,
Aye.
Lublin,
yes,
Merkin,
Yes.
Winkler,
Yes.
Nada,
Yes.
Hoy.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. We will work on that and hopefully we will have it done before the next meeting. Do remember though, this also is contingent on the other piece of property working out. We do not want to sell this property, the keyhole, if he does not work out his deal on the other piece of property to actually build this, we're not selling him our keyhole because this is the control piece. So we'll let you know where it goes.
Do we have a
Thank you.
contingency in our purchase, in our agreement for that?
Yep, it'll be in there.
I'm
Okay.
sure Tom will take care of it. Thank you, Tom.
Yep, and we have a very similar clause, with the township side on the library portion that someone just couldn't buy just the library piece to hold up Bruce's development. So that will go in for sure.
Yep.
Let's see. Last year, I really had to report the Goddard schools. If you recall, we worked a while up to the point where we had a purchase agreement that was about to be signed, and Goddard schools was told by corporate that they want them to hold on this because there's another Goddard schools going up at Haggerty and 13 Mile. She's fighting it. She did have a meeting with corporate in which she asked us for quite a bit of help, which we did give her to help her argument. In my world, those are two separate markets, that they're servicing. And the Goddard School's main concern would be cannibalism. I couldn't tell you which way this is going to swing. I know she is fighting it because she likes it. Hopefully next month I'll have at least what direction we're going in it. And the last two pieces are parcel M and N. Those are the two retained pieces that the DDA has within the 5 and Main development. I would anticipate once Bruce starts on the ring road, we'll be in position at that point to create the value for those pieces. Outside of that, if there's any questions I can ask or answer.
Thank you for your report, Randy.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Let's move on to the director's report, item 4. So we've got the updates from Randy on the developers. There was a meeting regarding the environmental on Aikens on 12/11. We are no further than we were waiting for reports. We will be addressing that under item 5, the engineering or the attorney's report also slightly. Campbell's presentation, no MTT judgments, so we're in good shape there. We have not seen any. HOA items, 2021 budget has been approved. We're still waiting for forms signed from Wincliffe. We have everyone else's in. I think that is a record for how early Deb was able to get all of those back. So thank you, Deb, for pushing those. We'll get the Wincliffe one in and wrap that up for 2021. All dues are current, so we do not have anything outstanding. Tax forms have been signed. Our lighting system is in decent repair. You remember that we placed an order for new lighting parts a couple months ago. We have received the drivers. We're expecting the balance of the order sometime in January. And the system is running in good shape. We're still pursuing an uninsured driver for an accident up at the roundabout Martin Parkway and Oakley Park. That one is not going well. They have not answered our letters, nor do they have insurance, it looks like. So not sure where that one's going to go, but we have those every now and then. Everything else is shut down on site, so it's looking pretty good. We're excited to see Jim's entry wall at the main roundabout put in. I would think that you'll see footings this week and the wall starting to go up next week. That is our HOA items. Any questions on the homeowners association? All right, with that said, we're going to move on to item 5, the attorney's report. Tom, let's go ahead and
Thank you,
turn it over
Mark.
to you.
Thank you. There is one item that I wanted to bring to your attention. You should have received from me a few days ago a copy of a proposed resolution and amendment to the Aiken agreement. As Randy indicated earlier, the developer did not complete sufficient due diligence prior to closing. In fact, probably didn't complete very much due diligence at all, and found out that he would have the ability to prepare a baseline environmental assessment, which would assist him in ownership of the property and responsibility for any detrimental environmental condition. So what the developer has requested is an amendment to our agreement to transfer the interest in the property and the agreement to a new entity, Commerce Downtown Roman numeral 2, I believe, and then that entity will have the ability to obtain a BEA, and they made a similar request to the township for the option property. The township, I understand, approved that last week, and they're before the DDA now for approval today. And in talking with Mark about it and to facilitate executing the agreement, the amendment to the agreement, assuming that it's supported, I prepared a resolution which permits any of the officers of the DDA, as well as the director, the DDA director, to execute the document, as opposed to the tradition that we use for Jim Gotts and Missy to sign on behalf of the DDA. So that's a little bit different, not much different than I normally do in these resolutions. However, it isn't all that complicated. They just requested that we amend the agreement to allow them to transfer to a new entity that has the same ownership as the existing entity. I'd appreciate a motion.
Motion to approve the agreement as attorney has brought up.
I'll second.
And then discussion, Dave Smith.
This is just a motion to sit down and transfer liabilities in the same partnership that originally existed. It's the same directors of the corporation from before.
The change that's being requested only gives them permission to transfer to another entity that is owned, identical ownership to the entity that we sold to.
I understand. I have no problem with this.
Any other questions?
Yes. I have, Tom, the way I'm reading this is it actually has an option. He can transfer it to an entity where the purchaser is 10% owner, as long as he remains developer, or to identical ownership where he does not have to remain the developer. Is that how this is set up? And I guess the question I have is, why are we amending the agreement as opposed to just consenting to the transfer to the entity that would be known, that he would tell us about and show us?
Well, they didn't ask for a consent which we would not be entitled to unreasonably withhold our approval anyway. They requested form of an amendment to the agreement, and I don't think we have any particular objection to that procedure. Rather than having them, I suppose they likely didn't want to be in a position of taking an action and having it come back on them later. In particular, they want to be sure, I think, that they have clear title in the new entity, and the new entity that obtain a BEA in its name.
So do they have a purchase agreement between the new entity and the developer? Is that how they're structuring this?
We have not seen anything between the two. We're just being asked to amend the agreement so they can the transaction. But no, we have not seen any document that references that references the transfer, other than their intention to convey the property directly, an actual fee conveyance.
Right, right. And we don't have any operating agreement or articles of the new entity, identifying members, anything like that.
Well, I don't even know if they formed the new entity yet, waiting for this approval. We had, of course, checked when we sold to them a year ago, we had identified the legal existence of the purchasing entity, but we have not determined that the new entity is formed. And when formed, it'll be, of course, recorded at in Lansing, and we'll be able to identify that it exists. Right. We're just giving them the permission.
And you're confident, Tom, that this is basically a makeup for them to try and get the BEA in place so that they don't have exposure. After
I do think, yes, that is their intention. And I have no doubt that that's what they're intending to do. I'm not as to the efficacy of the effectiveness of the transfer, but that's between them and them.
Right.
Steve, you brought up some good points. Can they change the structure of the partnership of who's involved in this?
Well, they can. Yeah. I mean, that's what I read here. You know, what it says is that the new language in 19Q is going to say that they may assign all their right, title, and interest to without prior written consent to an entity in which purchaser retains at least 10% ownership stake, and so long as purchaser remains the developer. But then it says, provided purchaser can assign it without our written consent to an entity that with the same ownership as purchaser, and then purchaser does not have to remain the developer. And I mean, that concerns me.
That's a good point.
I don't know why that language is in there. That's why I was asking about what their real intention is and who the entity was that they're going to be assigning to.
Well, in the resolution that we attached, I don't have it open at the moment, but it came, lined as a line document. I don't believe that I don't think that the 10% of ownership issue is any different than it was before. The changes are merely to permit a total assignment, as long as they have the same ownership as the S&R and S&E both have the same ownership.
So I'm taking from that they don't know whether they're going to what they need to do to qualify for this BEA status.
They wish to be able to file a BEA, and they feel that this will give them an opportunity to do it. Obviously, as I said, that's between the S&R and S&E and not our business.
Could we end up with dealing with somebody else other than who we're dealing with because of this change?
No, the ownership of Downtown 2 would be the same as the ownership of Commerce Downtown as it currently is.
Yeah, the only way they could change developer is if they assign it to an entity that has the exact same ownership that the current purchaser has. So you're really just changing names.
Yep, that's all it is. 1 to 2. According to Mark Jacobs, which is the environmental lawyer at Dykema, this is a standard practice in this type position to help not eliminate, but certainly, I don't know what the legal term is, but this is the move that you make when you have found yourself in this position.
Right. And if they change their ownership to just 10%, they have to remain the developer. So you sort of have them on the hook either way here.
Yep.
Steve, they also may bring in a development partner. We've made a couple introductions to them, not only to bring capital to the table, but maybe bring some relationships and other expertise. I know he's had some conversations with the groups. I don't know if it's got any traction, but that would allow him to bring in a development partner as well.
Okay.
And of course, he is looking at bringing in Galbraith and Shapiro for the development of the residential side.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a positive from our side.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions?
I have none.
All right. Deb, can you do a roll call vote?
Yes, and David Smith, were you the second on that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Lublin,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Aye.
Merkin,
Yes.
Winkler,
Aye.
Nada,
Aye.
Hoy,
Yes.
Spelker.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Anything else from the attorneys?
No, not at this time.
Any questions for Tom? Hearing none, we're going to move on to the engineering report. Matt?
All right, I'm unmuted. Basically, no major exercises over the last month. I've been helping Tom Roush and Mark in the discussions with Akins, and also helping Dave Campbell to a very minor extent on the discussions about the pedestrian path up M5.
And we do appreciate your help on that pathway. That is a key connection. Part of the reason we're so excited for looking at selling the keyhole pieces, having a partner who wants to hook the pathway up. But we do know with MDOT and is it FEMA or not FEMA, the federal highway, that we'll have to deal with this is going to get complex kind of quick just to hook up a pathway. So we appreciate your help on that. Any questions for the engineers? Hearing none, we're going to move on to the planning director's report. Dave Campbell.
Two projects I wanted to update the DDA on. One is the Pulte townhomes proposal. So this is for 103 new attached townhomes on what was the driving range on the east side of Martin Road, just across from Township Hall. Pulte got their conditional rezoning agreement approved by both the Planning Commission and the Township Board in their respective November meetings. So now Pulte comes back to the Planning Commission with a fully developed site plan for that condominium development. And that itself would need approval both from the Planning Commission and the Township Board. Anytime you have a condominium in Commerce Township, both the Planning Commission and the board have to approve it. So they're hoping to do that at both the boards and Planning Commission's meetings in February. The Feder property, or what we call the Feder property on the west side of Haggerty Road, just north of 14 Mile. This is a big vacant property. The prospective developers of that are going to be in front of the Planning Commission at the January meeting. They want to do a mixed-use development consisting of retail along the Haggerty Road frontage with residential apartments to the rear of those. I think 190 is the apartment count that they're proposing. So that'll be in front of the Planning Commission in January for their preliminary review. And an update on 84 Lumber. This is in the Homestead Industrial Park along Pioneer Drive. They hope to be in front of the Planning Commission at the January meeting for site plan and special land use approval. Similar to Pulte, they needed a conditional rezoning agreement to get approved, which it was by both the Planning Commission and the board. So now they're back in front of the Planning Commission with their site plan. They would take the existing building, which is an indoor boat storage place, Royal Marine, formerly Aggressive Marine. That would be converted into an 84 Lumber retail building. And then they would also acquire the two undeveloped properties next door, and that would be their outdoor lumber yard. So the site plan is going to show what the conditional rezoning plan showed, which is a well-screened and attractive lumber yard to replace the boat storage facility that we currently have. So that's what I had to update you on, and I can answer any other questions.
Dave, do you know when 84 Lumber is hoping to open?
I think I remember them saying May-ish, May of 2021. I mean, the building's obviously already there. They don't have to build a new building. They're going to do a lot of retrofitting to that building, and then they have to create the outdoor lumberyard, but I think May of 21 is not an unreasonable goal.
You gotta be able to get lumber first. That should be
True. The other thing I'd like
hard to
to
find, and it's expensive when you find it.
The other thing I would like to address is the gas station issue for Haggerty and Oakley Park. The discussion at Planning Commission the other night, if you could bring this board up to date.
I think it was Trustee Weber in his capacity on our Planning Commission brought up the possibility with the Planning Commission of doing a gas station at the DDA's corner of Haggerty and Oakley Park. So this would be if you remember, the DDA's property was sort of split in half, and half of it became beyond self-storage, which will now be public storage. And the other half is developed. And Mr. Weber asked the Planning Commission's opinion of doing a gas station there. The Planning Commission was not strongly opposed. There was a general comfort level with doing a gas station there. There's differing opinions on whether that gas station could sell alcohol. And if they were to sell alcohol, would it be limited to just beer and wine, or would it be beer, wine, and also packaged spirits? Currently, the township zoning ordinance is set up to where they would not be able to sell alcohol at that corner because it would be too close to the existing alcohol retailers up and down Haggerty Road. There's a 7-Eleven up at Richardson. There's at least one party store to the south. So if that were to be a gas station that would sell beer, wine, and or liquor, there would have to be some change to the zoning ordinance to be able to do that.
Thank you for that update. That is certainly something we will talk about. We're not sure that a gas station without some type of alcohol liquor has any traction, but depending on what the position of the town board and planning commission is, maybe it's something that we could look at changing. I think that for those of us who are residents on this side of town.
I was going to mention that if that project were to gain traction, there will be other gas station owners who will be watching it very closely. Gas station owners who are in or want to be in the alcohol retail sales business.
The one thing I will say on this side of town, there is a lack of gas station availability. As a resident over here, I find it annoying that I have to backtrack, which is the same discussion that you had with planning commission members to find a service station. So we'll keep you up to date on that one.
Another question.
Mark, you said you're going to get one of those electric Humvees that they're going to sell for like 120 grand. So it shouldn't be a problem for you once you get that.
As long as I get an extension cord.
Another question for Dave. Can you please repeat how many units the Pulte development?
The Pulte townhomes is going to be 103 attached townhomes.
Okay, 103. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave,
Yes.
two questions, and thank you for bringing that up, Jose. Since we're going to be increasing the traffic pattern, along, I don't think we ever figured that Pulte would buy that part of the development. And that's going to add at least 200 to 300 more cars to the development. Have we done anything forward with expanding, M5 dead ending into Richardson, or the idea of doing the cross the driving property to alleviate some of this congestion that's going to become significant in a while? We have to really start thinking about that.
Sure. So a few things on that. One is we did have a traffic study done for the Pulte development for the 103 homes. And what was determined is that at least that particular portion of Martin Road, being a 5-lane portion with a center left turn lane, that it could accommodate the additional new traffic that the Pulte development would bring on. Given the existing zoning for the property, which is TLM, technology and light manufacturing, the base zoning could allow several uses that would generate a lot more traffic than 103 townhomes. I mean, it could be a big medical facility. It could be a big office facility that would generate a lot more traffic. So the Planning Commission took that into account when they looked at the traffic impacts of the Pulte development. They took into account what else could feasibly go there. As far as traffic along the more regional view of M5 to Martin Parkway to Martin Road and then up Union Lake Road, The township did have a traffic study done with a private engineer in partnership with the road commission, and they gave us some options for realigning Martin Road and have it lined right up with Union Lake Road with a big roundabout there. Or the lesser alternatives would be to have a new roundabout at the existing intersections of Union Lake and Richardson, and then Richardson and Martin, having 2 new roundabouts there. Any of those options, of course, cost a lot of money. And the bigger question is, how does any of that get paid for? And that's a question that hasn't had any great answers thus far. I mean, we're talking north of $20 million to do any of the upgrades that the consultant is saying are what would need to happen to move traffic through this area more efficiently.
And Dave, does that include an analysis of how to get in between Lower and Middle Straits Lake?
No, that's just to push the problem further north. You still are going to have that pinch point of the 2 lanes of Union Lake Road where it passes through the 2 lakes. So that would be essentially phase 2 of the bigger solution. To realign Martin Road or to build a bunch of new roundabouts through this area would really only be phase 1. But you're admittedly, you're just pushing the problem further north.
Well, and considering that pinch point backs it up into all this area that we're talking about anyway,
yep.
Did it show that it would even do anything? Or wouldn't it just back up the way it currently is?
By design, the consultant only looked at the area of Martin. Well, and this was what the road commission wanted to do. They wanted to, all right, let's break it into 2 parts. Part 1 is let's look at Martin, Richardson, and Union Lake. And then part 2 would be to look at what happens along Union Lake. So we're only at part 1 so far.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Campbell?
If I can ask this, is I know it's written in the state law that when we have a gas station, they automatically, isn't that true? They automatically get a beer and wine license, or just goes along with it. Can't we just have a gas station that doesn't have to have alcohol in it?
I think if you are the owner, operator, developer of a gas station, the only way you would say it can make a buck is if it has alcohol sales. So yes, you can have a gas station without alcohol. You know, the mobile station on Union Lake Road across from Speedway. They are going to tear down their existing retail building and build a new building, and do so without alcohol sales. He would love to have alcohol sales, but he begrudgingly accepts that the township would not allow it to happen. So at least that operator is going to make it work without alcohol sales. But a lot of the operators we talk to say to not have alcohol sales is a non-starter.
Speedway doesn't have alcohol, does it?
They have beer and wine.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
When Dave, think about what the price point would have to be on that parcel if you were selling it straight gas station versus one with a beer and wine at least. You'd have to discount it. So that's not a positive for us. They're not going to pay full price. Any other questions for Mr. Campbell? Hearing none, thank you, Dave. We'll move on to committee reports. Finance Committee, we've been finishing up the year end, making sure everything is closed out correctly, and working on a presentation now for the January Town Board quarterly meeting with Plant Moran. Town Board has asked us to bring in our numbers and spreadsheets so that we can show them how we can continue on with this and run different scenarios for the drop dead date, which we informed them that we are actually good on. We can, with the township's help, pay for this, but we're going to go in and show them different scenarios in January, and I'll bring those back to you. Moving on, public relations, Jose.
Well, the Public Relations Committee has 2 issues to report. The first issue is graffiti. Following suggestions from Susan and Mark, I contacted the coordinator of the art exhibition at the Wall Lake Schools, who directed me to Judy Ebola, Judy is the Director of Community Relations and Marketing. Based on her comments, the idea of creating art to cover the graffiti is an excellent one. She was very receptive to the idea of students from the high schools to cover the graffiti with art. That means that we could save the DDA between $15,000 and $17,000. I offered that the Public Relations Committee could buy the paint and other materials, but Judy said that maybe it will not be necessary and that we can discuss it in the spring. So there is a good chance that if we can wait until the spring and not many people walk in the overpass in the winter, we could save some money to the DDA. And at the same time, fill all the areas in that overpass with art. The second issue is I, representing the PRC, the Public Relations Committee, I fill out again the forms to request to the Detroit Institute of Arts 10 reproductions of masterpieces to be installed in different locations in Commerce Township in 2021. But, big but, there are approximately 276 cities, 257 villages, and 1,240 townships in our state, and everybody wants a piece of the Detroit Institute of Art. Because we already had the DIA Inside Out program 3 times in the last 7 years since we started our partnership, we will see if we can qualify for 2021. So right now we are in a long list of communities requesting those DIA exhibits. I was informed by email the decisions will be made soon. So this is my report for this month, but before I finish, in the name of the Public Relations Committee, I want to wish everybody a happy, safe, and healthy holidays.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. Any questions for Jose? Fantastic. Hearing none, we'll move on to the Marketing Committee. Dave Smith.
Good afternoon, everybody. Since we have not had any marketing meetings, I defer to the elegant presentation by Randy Thomas. I mean, there's not much more to sit down and think about, but I do, as I have stressed before, we need to sit down and start looking at our traffic count when we start getting to where my office is at Richardson and Martin. It's going to become a problem, and it's not going to get any easier. So, but thanks, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and
Thank you, David.
Have a wonderful holiday season.
You too. Moving on to item 9, 2021 DDA budget final approval. You'll remember as a group, we went through the DDA budget back in September. We approved it, sent it to the town board. The town board then worked on it, made no changes, and incorporated it with their budget. At their last meeting, they passed the township budget. And so now it has to come back to this board for final adoption. I see no reason to go back through this. I think we spent about a half an hour last time or originally working through the numbers, unless someone has specific questions. I would like to hear a motion for approval of the 2021 DDA budget.
Motion to approve the 2021 budget.
Thank you, Danny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussions? Hearing none. Deb, will you do a roll call vote?
Yes, Lublin,
Yes.
Merkin,
Yes.
Gray,
Aye.
Winkler,
Yes.
Nada,
Yes.
Hoy,
Yes.
Spelker,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
With that, I will thank you for the budget approval. Item 10, approval of warrants, carryovers, add-ons. Do I have a motion to approve the warrants, carryovers, and add-ons?
Motion to approve the warrants, carryover, add-on, revenue and expenditure report.
And
Second.
thank you, Jose, for the second. Any questions? Hearing none. Deb, would you call a roll call vote?
Yes, and I do see Jim Gotts is on. Jim, can you hear me? I think you're muted.
Major computer problems.
Okay.
There he is.
I'm gonna include you in this motion if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Lublin,
Yes.
Merkin,
Yes.
Gotts,
Aye.
thank you. Winkler,
Aye.
Nada,
Aye.
Hoy,
Aye.
Spelker,
Aye.
Smith,
Yes.
Gray.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
Item 11, other matters. Do we have any other matters to discuss today? I'll open the floor. Yes, Mr. Hoy.
Just to let everybody know, tomorrow we're live streaming Dave Bennett. Dave is a phenomenal musician, all Christmas music. So it'll be between 7 and 8. Just visit steinwaydetroit.com. And since none of these musicians can work anywhere, I mean, nobody is playing. They are completely out of money. So if you throw a little money their way, they're happy if you like the concert. And then yesterday we made a decision to have our New Year's Eve celebration here because I can carefully bring in a whole bunch of musicians and put them in a great big room with maybe 4 or 5 people in there at one time. So we're all about music here and all about bringing the community into that music. So if you're not busy tomorrow night, tune in and listen to Dave play. You will be blown away. This guy can blow a horn as good as anybody.
Thank you, Mr. Hoy. Any other matters?
No, I just want to apologize for my delinquency here. I had some major computer problems. I couldn't get back on, so.
Hey,
Understood.
we're
Jimmy,
glad that's all it was.
Yeah.
Jimmy, usually at our age, it's really not the computer.
Yeah, well, you know.
I have that
this-
same problem.
Well, I think this happened to be the mechanical computer, not the cerebral one.
No, got it.
We can call off the APB.
Yes.
Right.
All right. Hearing no other matters, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday, happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Oh, I'm liking Mr. Winkler's hat. You're looking good there, Brian.
Ditto.
With that said, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Do I have anyone who would make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yeah,
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Fantastic. Deb, you want to do a roll call vote?
Yeah, I have Merkin,
Aye.
Gotts,
Aye.
Lublin,
Yes.
Winkler,
Aye.
Nada,
Aye.
Hoy,
Aye.
Spelker,
Aye. Happy everything, everyone.
Happy.
Smith,
Yes.
Gray.
Aye.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And I look forward, everyone, to a better 2021 than 2020 was. Have a safe holiday. See you next year.